Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And today, it is the Rant, Episode 5, live, unscripted, and brutally honest. We will be talking about...
Apps are not Pokemon.
So kick back for the next 50-odd minutes while I talk a load of bollocks. Hello, welcome to the show. My name is Jade. This is How to App on iOS. This is the start of the week, and it is the Rant Episode 5, where I just sit here and talk about a topic to you and get your feedback as well. I'd like to welcome all of our award warriors to the show. If you missed it, you missed it. What can I say? So we just had... a couple of hours ago, the Wart Warrior quiz number 4 went off like a banger. And the winner of the quiz happened to be Kim Harden Hudson, who won the quiz. She is the champ currently of the quiz, as we call it as a joke. So Kim Harden Hudson is the champion currently. If you missed out on the quiz, as you are a Wart Warrior, we will be running another quiz very soon. In fact, it will be October 1st for the next quiz for members only for Wart Warriors. If you remember, you are free to join and get in on the quiz. The next quiz topic will be community artists. We will be doing a quiz on people from the community, their music, who they are. Trick questions, true or false questions, lots of questions. We've already done one community music quiz, and it was really, really popular. So we'll do it again on October 1st. So mark it in your calendar. It will be a thing that is happening. Let me say hello to folks who are here today. Joining me for the rant, we have Gregory O'Sullivan and Thomas Christ, Ed B. Metal, Cold Acre, FPC, Robbie Stingle, and Chad Freeman, Rise of Dark Leela. I know Brad's watching as well. Brad was my host on today's quiz, and he did a fantastic job. Round of applause for Brad.
Yeah, right on. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, right on. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that, Brad. It was awesome. Thanks for getting involved. And now, there we go. I've just been officially skull by both of them. Skull again. There you go. So they love skull me every morning. My morning skull good stuff. Boom. Yeah, there you go. Laugh it up, fuzzball. Yeah. Speaking of Robbie Stingle, let me tell you a little something, because a little birdie told me that this guy Robbie Stingle will be appearing here on the show with me this week. Welcome to the Gong Show. It is a live interview this week, Thursday, if you're in the US and UK, with the one and only Robbie Stingle. He will be joining me for an interview, and we will be finding out all about the man behind the gong, behind the man. That is a thing that is definitely happening this week. So make sure you are there for that. The show will be up later today. The link will be up for you to go and set a reminder for it. That is the thumbnail ready to go. Oh, yeah. Is there anything? I thought this would be irony. Let's do this just for irony's sake, yes? Because I love a little bit of irony. We do love a little bit of irony here on the channel. Let's bounce over here to the Beat community to talk about apps. So, Nambu by Iceworks has had a price drop. Nano Studio 2 and all of its in-app purchases are on sale. From Blip Interactive, if you have Nano Studio 2 and you've wanted to go and get all those in-app purchases, they're all on sale right now. Yes? Maze Rider, Base Leveler, on sale. TB Low Tone has had a big chunky update, and we're looking at this information here from the Beat community. Tone Boost has updated TB Morphit as well. Music Party had a huge update. And AB Vortex X by Audio Brewers is currently on offer. So there's lots of apps on sale and such. Let's bounce over here. Nambu on sale for $15.99. Nano Studio 2 on sale. As I said, the in-app purchases, Maze Rider, Base Leveler, AB Vortex, $12.99. Touch OC, Code Life, Touch Viz, $4.99. LE3 Auto Tune is back on the App Store for a lovely $2.99. AUBE, which we're going to be looking at very shortly, is $7.99 on sale. All of the Mila apps are on sale. Luma Fusion's on sale as well. If you want to make music videos or any kind of videos on your iOS device or your Mac, you can do so with Luma Fusion because it's wicked. So those are some price drops. And the irony is that today we're talking about apps, aren't we? That's what we're talking about. Did I see the champ come in? Where's the champ? Is the champ here? I can't see her in the chat. Rose Duckley, obviously I'm blind. Shit, I am blind. Did she write something? Hello, Joe. Oh, she's not here yet. There we go. All right, so she's not here yet. Hello, Joe. Hope you're doing well. We missed you with the quiz today, trying to work out how to sign in. Yeah, Kim absolutely crushed the quiz today. She dominated. There were some wicked questions in the quiz. Let's have a quick look at what some of the questions were in the quiz. Do you want to see what kind of questions were in the quiz? Some of them were really cool. Let's do a quick bounce to, I'll show you. Oops. Let's do a quick login. Log me in, Mitch. Log me in. Log me in. So these are some of the questions. Hi, Barry. These are some of the questions that were in the quiz today. Let me show you. So we had stuff like which 90s singer tragically passed away at 28 and featured in the Guns N' Roses music video Don't Cry. There you go. Shannon Hoon. What else do we have here? We had stuff like Who Is This Band? Which you can't see because it's one of those photos that appears. Billy Corgan also owns a wrestling company. WCW, Impact Wrestling, TNA or NWA. I was surprised people got. About 4 people got NWA Wrestling. Or was it 5? That was a tough one, that one. What else do we have? Former Danzig guitarist John Christ named his guitar the Bitch. That was true. It's actually in a Danzig video. It's hideous. Super Fuzz Big Muff was the first album for who? Queens of Stone Age, Killers, Butthole Surfers. It was Mudhoney, of course. Wicked band. So lots of cool questions in here. Who else do we have in here? This one was cool. Released on the unfortunate date of September 11, 2001 was which Ben Folds song? It was Rockin' the Suburbs. What a shitty date to release a song and get totally overshadowed by a terrorist attack, yeah? This one tricked a few people. Iggy Pop is considered the godfather of grunge. No, he isn't. That's someone else. That's Neil Young. So that was the quiz. 55 questions were in the quiz, but we will have another quiz, as I said, October 1st. And it will be a quiz on the community, on you guys, on your music, yeah? We've already done one of those and it was wicked. Let's say hello to people who've just joined us before we get into our rant. Sith, hello. Forest of the Wolf, hello to you. Barry Glenn, I saw. I think I've got everyone else who's here. Yes. Boom. All right, let's get into it. Apps. We are talking about apps today. I say it all the time on this show. Apps aren't Pokemon. You don't need to collect them all just like bloody Pokemon, yeah? Because now you may be thinking, this is very counterintuitive of you, Jade, because you host a show called How to App on iOS. And yes, this is true. Now, straight off the bat, you have to understand let me hold that thought. There's the champ right there. Kim Harden Hudson is the current champ of the Wart quiz. There she is, the Wart Warrior quiz. Kim Harden Hudson, congratulations to you. Kim, you kicked, you crushed, you destroyed. So, counterintuitive, me telling you that apps aren't Pokemon and you don't need them all. Here I am doing a show called How to App on iOS every day, showing you apps. But then at the same time, you have to take into consideration this channel is not only about apps, it is also about showing you artists from within this community. It is also about interviewing artists. It is also about, we have album launches, we have quizzes. I do live performances on the weekend. We have shows like this Rant. In the past, we've had series called like the Wart series where we talked about mental health and well-being and all this kind of stuff. This channel is much broader than just apps, even though the main show is called How to App on iOS. And there's the shirt with our friend, Brad Example, naked on it. And you too can own one of those if you like. In the link below, you can also get pillows of these. And there it is, the Brad Example How to App on iOS pillow. And what's so good about it is if you get lonely at night, you turn it over and you can kiss it because there's Brad's face. It's the kissable Brad pillow. But yeah, there's also shirts and hoodies. Anyway, enough merch bullshit. So there's a lot more to this channel than just apps, yeah? Now, I can't talk because I own a lot of apps. And before I started this channel, I was a massive consumer of apps, yeah? I was constantly buying apps and sometimes I would hold up recordings until I had enough money to get a particular app. And there's been times also where I've been a good way into recording some music and I've held off on releasing it until I got this app which I thought would be able to make the sound a little bit better. Yeah. And it's not often that I do that these days because I have to be completely honest. Yeah. I do this show and I'm in contact with a lot of developers and I do get a lot of apps for free. Yes. Now, does that influence what I think about the apps? Absolutely not. It does not influence me in any way, shape or form because not all of the apps that I get, I end up reviewing. There's a bunch of them on my iPad which I have not reviewed. And there's multiple reasons for that. And we'll cover those right now. One, they didn't cut it. I can't recommend it. So just so you know, being a YouTube content creator, we get, given things like apps. And in the past, I have been given gear to review from companies to show you guys. But at no stage has there ever been anything where a company has said, you have to send us this video before you review it, or you have to give a favorable review of it, or we're paying you for it. They have given me the item, and I'm a little bit different than other channels because I don't pre-record stuff. I get that object, that piece of gear, and I go live, and they see it after it goes live. Same thing with the apps. So apps are sent to me, and so that's the first reason an app wouldn't get played on this show, because I find it would be stupid to be here and shit on an app. Yeah, that's counterintuitive to sit here and say this app sucks, don't go and get it, because that's not it's not my place. My view on something really is just my view on it. Yeah, and something that's shit to me may be absolutely gangbusters to you. So I can't sit here and say that something is crap. I think that's just wrong. There are apps that I haven't reviewed also because they've been lost in the mix. There's so many apps that come out that sometimes you just miss them. You go, oh, I'll get that one and do a show on it, and then you run out of time and you just forget about it because so many apps get released. And the other reason is sometimes I struggle to work out how to use them. I'm not going to lie. I can't lie to you. There are some apps that I have not reviewed because I haven't worked them out. They are incredibly complex for my tiny little brain. And I do spend a lot of time learning apps and going over manuals and even watching other people's content. The developers sometimes drop videos on their apps. But there have been some apps where I just can't get my head around it. So I feel I can't sit here and show you how to do something if I can't work it out. I do bust my ass and go back to things a couple of times. So that's just a bit of insight as to what apps I review on here, what gets in and what gets out, but never do I sit here with I'm being told what to tell you is good or what you need to buy. And of course, there's been times when I'm talking about apps and I'll say, you really should get this. This is awesome. It's just because I'm excited. You don't have to do anything that I say, and you should know that. You don't have to do anything that any YouTuber says or any influencer or anything like that. The point is of this show today is that apps aren't Pokemon, not because I think you shouldn't own apps or you shouldn't buy them because you just like buying apps. Have at it. If that's what you love doing, buy them all. If you have to have everyone that comes out, do that. Yeah, do it. 100%. You know, if that's what makes you happy, I say it on this channel all the time, do what makes you happy. The point of saying that apps aren't Pokemon, you don't need to collect them all, is that you don't need to collect all these apps to make really good music. That's something that's very important to remember. We look at so many different apps on this program. EQs, compression, reverbs, delays, yeah? Saturators, doors, synths. How many synths, man? How many synths do we look at? Guitar amp sims, bass amp sims. There's a lot of things that get kind of repeated. Like currently, there's about like 5 apps that have dropped in the last week that are all tube saturation and overdrive things. All from big companies. And they're all, sometimes it's really funny how like, I don't think they coordinate this stuff. They definitely don't coordinate it, but sometimes a whole bunch of companies will drop a bunch of apps at the same time and they're all quite similar. And I think it's just the way, I don't know, the stars align, because they're definitely not getting together to go, let's all drop similar apps at the same time, yeah? So, you don't need all the apps to make music. And I can't talk at all, because let's bounce over to my iPad. Now, there's this wonderful app, speaking of apps, called AUBE, which I've covered on the show. And what it does is it shows you how many apps you own. So now these are currently, no, these aren't all that I own, obviously. These are currently what is on my iPad. And these are just AUV3s. 652 AUV3s currently sitting here on my iPad. That's a lot of AUV3s. Do I use them all? No. I keep them a lot of the time on my iPad here because I do a show every day. And when I'm showing another app, it's good to have a whole bunch of things that you've done in the past to bring in and make something interesting and have options to. And there's still a bunch of apps on here I still haven't done shows on. So that's a lot of apps on here. And Thomas says I have 238 according to AUBE. Leela has 402 with 84 favorites. Yeah, and these are broken up into effects. So you can see here dynamic apps, which, are based around things like compression and stuff like that. So here, 108 spectral apps, time, which you're thinking about delays and stuff like that, 82, modulation, 35, multi-effects, utilities, look at them all, instruments, drums, synth, 175 synth apps. 175. Do I need all those? Absolutely not. Hello, Charlie. Hello, Roque. Good to see you. Anyone else I may have missed while we are dilly-dallying on my rant? Yes, about apps. Do I need all of these? No, I don't. I don't need all of them. Drum apps, 23 of them. Sample apps, 19. Generators, 12. MIDI processors. I love MIDI processor apps, 79 of them. Clearly, I love them. And down here, you'll notice, see these? These are ones I have in beta because I have a lot of apps in beta as well. So we'll talk about that soon. So we've got a list of stuff here. Anyway, that's AUBE. Hello, Hugh Caldwell, who did well in the quiz as well today. Why do I say you don't need them? You don't need them all, yeah? What I think is more important to own, if you're going to be making music, obviously, is some kind of DAW. And luckily, on iOS, we don't have just conventional DAWs, where on the Mac and Windows, you have pretty conventional stuff like Cubase, Reaper. There's so many of them I could sit here and run through. On the Mac, you've got GarageBand and Logic. And here on iOS, we have a heap of stuff. GarageBand, you can see here. Got things like GarageBand, same. We've got Logic Pro, yeah. But we also have interesting ones here like AUM, which I can't even class as a DAW because it's so interesting. Then we have things like Gadget, Nano Studio. So all of these DAWs that we have here on iOS are more than enough to make music with. Why is that? Well, let's bounce over to my Mac for a second and show you, because this is about not only iOS, we're talking about apps as well, because there's a lot of people who own Macs and PCs and fall into the hole of VSTs and plugins, and sometimes end up spending more time buying plugins than actually making music. And that's a problem, unless it's not. Because if it's not, and you're happy doing that, then have the fuck at it, yeah? I can't tell you what to do, and I never would imagine to do that. What am I looking for? Hello, Michael Songs. G'day, g'day. So I'm going to bounce over here to my Mac. Here is my Mac. And over here I have Logic. We can hit play. This is a project from my album. Yeah. So we got some music there. Lovely. Lovely jubbly. But now within this on Logic here, this thing costs like $300 and something Australian to get Logic on your Mac. On iOS, it's only $5 a month, so it's a lot cheaper. But here's the thing. Within Logic here, you don't need all these VSTs. Like, you can go into any track here. For example, let's go into track 3 here, and you've got all these little sections here. And I can add an EQ in here. And this EQ is not to sneeze at. This is a really decent EQ. Yeah? It's a fantastic channel strip. There is nothing wrong with this. You could go and buy every other channel strip in the world and it doesn't make a difference. It's an EQ, man. Right? So we've got an EQ there, and I can click on any of these and look at the things that you get with something like Logic. I mean, you get a compressor. You've got things like True Balance. Look at all these. You've got amps, Amp Designer, bass amp designer, pedal boards, stomp boxes. You've got delays. Look at all these delays. Sample delays, stereo delays, tape delays, distortions, all these distortions, overdrives, phase distortions, dynamics, compressors, DSs, envelopers, limiters, multipressors, noise gates. All this stuff is in there for that price. Yeah? Channel EQ, linear phase EQ. You've got multiple EQs, filters, imaging, metering, yeah, loudness metering, a tuner. Everything is built into these things. It is utterly ridiculous. Modulation, chorus, flanger, multi-effects. And then you get, if I start scrolling, this is where you get into the, so all these are part of owning a DAW, right? Pitch shifters, look at them, pitch correction. Pitch correction, it's in there. Pitch shifter, vocal transformers. And then you get down the bottom here to audio units. And this is where it starts costing a lot of money. Yeah? So you can see here I've got a bunch of things by Nembrini, IK Multimedia. There we go. All this stuff from Tonex and Amplitude, Fab Filter. Look at all this Fab Filter stuff. Damn, expensive stuff. This stuff adds up, hundreds of dollars. Rhino and Mammoth. So once you get into VSTs, that's when you start falling down a hole, man, a whole lot of trouble. And some of mine aren't showing up for some reason because I had a crash on my computer and I'll have to fix some of this stuff. But, yeah, so all my complete stuff isn't even showing up on here either. But that's a problem I'll sort out soon. So you already have all of this stuff that is built in. And, you know, when you go over here to the Mac, because the Mac is pretty much, you know, it's Apple. You've got a Mac App Store. Yeah, so you've got a lot of iOS apps now work on, maybe it's going to load, maybe it's not. Who knows? Nice one. It's not going to load for some unknown fucking reason. To actually have internet. Oh, there we go. It's loading now. So here is the Mac App Store. And what you'll find is with iOS and Mac, they're starting to blend and become one. So these are my Mac apps that I own, but these are things I bought on iOS. So I can use these as well on my Mac. And here you can see is my iPhone and iPad apps, which I can use as well here on the Mac, which is, I think, a step in the right direction. Yeah. So being able to use things from iOS over to your Mac is, I hope we move more to that kind of direction permanently. That would be so much cooler. So again, and then you've got something like GarageBand. Like GarageBand is exactly the same. Let's not save this. So over here on the Mac, GarageBand comes with all that stuff as well. It comes with compressors, delays, choruses, all that stuff. And it's all just as good. And it's absolutely free. And even when we move over here to the iPad, GarageBand will be and is forever free. Yeah? So, I mean, I know I've seen so many people make songs that sound incredible just using the stock stuff in GarageBand, because it doesn't come down to, look, here's the deal. I love our developers, you know, and I'll stick up for them every single day. I'm here to, like, when I'm talking about their apps, I'm promoting them. I want, you know, if you like these apps, these developers put in a lot of work in these apps, and they always try and think outside the box and create things that are unique. So there is these alternatives to what you get in these DAWs, and sometimes there's stuff that is, you know, made by developers on iOS and on your main, you know, computers, desktops, that you don't get with Logic. There's a lot of really inventive apps that come out, and you can't get that anywhere else. So developers need to eat, and if you want them to continue to make really interesting stuff. And that's great, but at the same time, I don't think anybody in the world expects you to sit there and buy every app to feed every developer, you know. Of course, you need to buy the things that are going to help you make music. But when we look at things like GarageBand over here, that is absolutely free. And I know in my time making music on iOS, I've had so many people sneer at me and turn their nose up and go, "You make music on GarageBand on your iPad." It's that look of disdain. It's like, especially people who like are still recording in studios and paying fucking way too much, and they think because they're in a studio they're better than everybody else. And it's like, you do realize that everything we use is ones and zeros, buddy. You get that, yeah? So me doing it on an iPad, which has just as much power as a computer that is running a fucking studio, you're not up here. You're not above me, right? Anybody who you come across who's like that is a wanker. But with GarageBand, and especially on iOS, people sneer and go, "It's a toy, it's rubbish, it doesn't make any music." It's not true. Like, some of the things you get here on GarageBand on iOS, there's been no app to ever replace it. Like this. Like, I can go to our drummer here, start a project, pick a drummer, and there we have drums. I don't know why I've got two there. And here's a drummer. Without anything, I've got drums. And you can start building a song. Yeah? The thing about GarageBand and things like this, it makes it incredibly easy for people to make music who don't necessarily have the skills to do so. All right? Do you need any apps for this? Absolutely not, because I can create a brand new track. Yeah? By just going, I've forgotten how to create a new track. Here we go. So how you create a new track? Oh, you hit plus. There we go. So within a second, I can choose a smart guitar. I can choose let's do a hard rock guitar. Yeah? Do this. Hit record. Let's do that. With relative ease, you can make music in something like GarageBand. And again, it's free. It's absolutely free. But, I mean, you're probably looking at this going, but this doesn't sound like a real band or anything like that. But you can still record your own guitars in there, your own bass, all that kind of stuff. And something like GarageBand comes packed with all the same effects as what you get in a standard DAW. So the point is to remind you that you don't need all the fancy apps. You don't need to spend all the fancy money. Yeah, to be able to make really good music, while at the same time telling you there are some amazing apps. So the point of today's show is more or less to say, choose the apps that will definitely help what you're wanting to do. I've had Russ on the show. If you want to go back and have a look, I had Russ on the show. Oh, stop playing. I had Russ on the show a little while back, and we talked about this very same subject. And Russ really gets apps in a really smart way. So if I do a show on an app and it tickles his fancy, it's got some kind of sound in it that he can, or a bunch of sounds that he thinks he can use that is right for something down the line, he'll get it. But at the same time, whenever Russ makes a song, he will go through his list of apps and try and look for an app that he hasn't used for a long time. And I don't think not enough people do that and go back through and have a look at what they already have, because we live in this, world at the moment that is just constant bombardment of news 24 hours, social media updates 24 hours every minute, new apps coming out, advertising being thrown at you everywhere you go, because social media is free. Well, it's not really. They use your information and fill you full of ads. So you're constantly being shown something new, something new, something new, something new. And it can be very overwhelming. And it's little wonder why so many people are currently struggling with anxiety, depression, and struggling because, I mean, it's tantamount to being flashing lights in your face all the time, just flashing at you. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's little wonder why our attention spans are leading us to be goldfish. Oh, goldfish. I think that currently goldfish have longer attention spans than the human race. Hi, Kingers. That's a sad fact. So what happens is these apps come so fast and we grab them and they sit on our devices like this. Or you put them in folders and forget they're there. You've got some folder that you go through over here like me stupidly. What's this one called? Music. Look at, why are all these in here? They don't even have any rhyme or reason. And you can lose track of the things that you have, the wonderful things that you could be making music with, because you've moved on to the next shiny thing. I mean, if I have so many reverbs on here, it's such a tough decision of which reverb to use. Does it make a difference? Of course it does, because there are lots of different kind of reverbs. Shimmer reverbs. Get what I'm saying? Hi, Tom and Co. So, again, here am I telling you, apps aren't Pokemon. You don't need to collect them all, and you don't. You absolutely don't. Before I started doing this show, I was very careful with the things that I purchased because money was, is hard to come by. And even now it is hard to come by. So when I do purchase things, I've actually been thinking about them for a while. Like it's even with gear. We talked about this when I did the All the Gear No Idea show, that whenever I buy something for this studio or even for my house or anything like that, it's normally sitting in a basket on a website for a while, taunting me. But it's good to do that, I think. For me it is anyway, because having that thing, knowing that it's something that you want and you don't necessarily need to get it yet or can't afford it yet, and getting to a point when you can is a really good thing. It's helped me with, not always being broke and struggling to eat. So, the things have to have a purpose. And again, if I wasn't doing this show, I would be purchasing apps the exact same way I used to purchase apps. For example, an app that always comes to mind around money and wanting to own so badly, see if I can find it, is this one, iSymphonic. Now, I wanted this app for so bloody long. It was during the time I was recording my album during 2016 and 17. I'd been using the free GarageBand, strings and brass, and don't get me wrong, sounded awesome. But when I kind of looked at this app and went, I was like, wow, man, these are really cool. And what, are you telling me I can make full orchestras? These are some of the orchestras. This one's called Full Shit. Full Shit. I was blown away by this thing. It was beautiful and I wanted it and I purchased it. It cost a lot of money, but what I got for it wasn't much. So then I found this little section up here and I was like, all right, custom sets. Let's have a look. Wow, look at all these things you have to buy for this. And yeah, they weren't cheap. Now I can just load them and they're all good. But if you actually purchase this and go and have a look, a lot of these things are like $30 a sound pack. And in Australia, a lot more because our dollar's worth shit. And for me to go and buy all these, it took me 2.5 years to be able to afford them all. But I knew I wanted them all eventually, so I would go and pick and choose the ones that were going to give me what I needed now, and I had a priority list. But overall, I think this cost me like $280. But I've used this app so many times, it is just ridiculous. It has had so much use. But again, these days I'm incredibly lucky because I get these things sent to me and be able to do it. Would I still buy something? Like, for example, let's look at this one too. This is a current app which I reviewed recently. Let's have a look at this one and talk about the price. Because a lot of people... Oh no, the beta's expired. That sucks. Hang on a minute. No! Was I supposed to update that? Let me check my thing. I have to find out about that. So, there are apps out there that can cost thousands of dollars. And people go ahead and buy them. And, you know, I see channels all the time telling you, hey, this app's incredible. Thousands of dollars. You really should get it. It'll change the way you make music. But does it? Does it actually do that? Are people actually using these apps? You know, this is the question that I posed today. So I'm just a bit lost here. Let me find what I'm trying to do. Where are we? Here. Okay. I can't show you that for some reason. There we go. So, getting back to my point. So you don't need all of these apps, but they are nice to buy, aren't they? Because again, we like having shiny new things. Yes. Hi, Frank Terzo. Hope you're doing good. We like having shiny things, and I like having shiny things too. Shiny new things. They make me very happy. And there are a lot of apps out there that make me very happy and I like playing with. And there's a lot of apps that I own that do incredibly cool things, but I still haven't found a use for them. So again, that comes back to, that's why this show exists, right? Again, I'm not telling you how to buy things, what you need, how you should manage your money or your apps or how you should make music. But that's what this show is 100% here for, to give you an insight into something that you may want to purchase or you may not want to purchase. It's not here to shit on apps and say, well, that's pretty crap or that's too expensive, right? I have seen people who cry about the prices of apps on iOS at $20, $30. The same apps are available on the PC and Mac for over 120. So, I mean, the prices aren't really that harsh. Unfortunately, with iOS and the App Store, when it began, apps were priced at a certain price, and then all of a sudden, all of the apps went down to zero. So apps became free. What we call it is the race to the bottom. And once a lot of apps went free, people's expectations got set to, cool, look at all this great stuff I can get for free. And now that developers are like sitting there going, hey, I'm hungry. I'm dying over here. I'm starving. The prices have had to go up a little bit, but they're still so reasonable for iOS especially, right? But because people got used to them being for free, free became a thing. And I'm not shitting on free apps because there's lots of free apps you can get that do amazing things as well. But developers got to eat. And the thing is, it's a chain. If you want developers to keep making stuff, you do need to support them. But of course, you got to look out for yourself too, and you know, not put yourself in stress and buy things that you don't need, because it is just, it's unnecessary stress that doesn't help you make music. And the other thing is too, when you have a look around, I'm looking here, right? This can be very overwhelming, right? Remember, there's a lot of us who are dealing with a lot of anxiety and stuff these days. It's just the way the world is. And opening up a device and seeing a whole lot of apps can actually turn you off from making music. It can have a negative effect because you don't know where to start. You don't know what to, you don't know what to choose. So it's a trap that people can fall into, and that can cause you to make far less music than what you should be. It's just being overwhelmed by all of the options. I mean, we're so lucky to have all these options, but again, it'll mess with your head. And it's hard enough with things like red light fever, yeah? There's things like pressure to release another song that you think was as good as your last one, or to compete with other people. Yeah, so many people releasing music, and you feel like you've got to keep up and keep releasing music to stay relevant. So there's already so much pressure to make music that when you're confronted with all these options, it just buries you further and further and further and further and further until you get help. Hi, Pete Johns. Hope you're doing well. So be smart with your choices. Yeah. Keep your eye on this channel. Plug.
Boom.
Because I'm not here to bullshit you and tell you, hey, you need this. Right? But I will tell you the truth, if I think something is awesome. And as I said in the beginning of the show, if I think something's utter shit, I'm not going to show you. I'm not going to sit here and throw negative shade on somebody who's taken a lot of work to make something and I don't necessarily like it. That's not my place. Yeah? There are lots of channels out there. Oh, I wouldn't say lots, but, not from this community, but there's lots of channels on YouTube who are more than willing to sit there and crap all over something. It's part of their shtick, yeah? I think it's better to take a bit of a higher ground and not. There's only been one app I ever did a review of on this channel that I shit on. And it was a mistake. It was a mistake that I did that, and it was probably out of frustration because I couldn't get it to work on the stream. And then I had to go back and do another show to kind of rewrite that. But I learned a valuable lesson that day to not lose my cool and shit on something like that just because it had some issues that were actually fixed very quickly. And they're actually fixed because of my show getting so upset and angry. Is what it is. I've taken over your life, Leela. Damn. That's pretty scary. Yes, Forrest, you're lost in so many options. We have so many options. We are so lucky. We are in a time where, sure, we've got things flashing at us every day telling us, buy this, buy this, buy this. You need this. You have to have this now. Do it now. You have to do it right now. Here's an ad. Another ad. Here, have it, get it. You can't do anything without this. Right? You can't do it without this. It's bullshit. It's lies. Don't believe it. So I am here every day doing these shows to help you make an informed decision. There's plenty of other channels here in the iOS community and YouTube covering things like desktop apps and stuff like that that will give you opinions. But it's hard to decipher if they're telling you the truth or not, isn't it? But that's not important. You know what it is? What you really have to cut through? YouTube is full of personalities. Yeah? Full of personalities. And a lot of us are drawn to YouTube channels because of these personalities. It's a fact. I know I've seen channels out there who the people who run it have really good information, but they're about as interesting as a wet biscuit. Yeah. So people don't tend to take what they say as have any value. But even when you know somebody is selling you something, they're telling you something's good and they've been paid for it, even when they're doing that, you can get value from it because it doesn't matter what their opinion is of it. It's what they're showing you and what it means to you. That is the most important thing to remember. Even me saying, I love this app, I think it's wicked, it means shit. If you get value, if you can see something you can do with it, then that app is a Pokemon. That is Pikachu. That is the one you need to catch or you don't need to catch. Totally up to you. So, again, it's completely up to you. How you make music. We already have the power of amazing DAWs with amazing free things in them. Compressors that are of standards that are incredible. Reverbs that are incredible. We have all these free options. They're incredible. But there's paid options as well. You do you, boo. But again, apps aren't Pokemon. You don't need to catch them all. But Pokemon, you do, apparently. I've never caught a Pokemon. I don't give a fuck about Pokemons. That's me. You do. I'd rather catch some apps. You know what I'm saying? All right. That is the rant for this week. I love these. It's so much fun to sit here and talk shit. All right. So we are at the end of this show. We got lots of cool stuff coming up for this week on the show. Speaking of apps, of course, tomorrow we're taking a look at Chord Jam. It's an app that I've looked at on this channel before, but they have a brand new creative expansion pack called Neon, and it's super cool. It's really cheap. It's only a couple of bucks. And we'll be taking a look at it and making some music with it tomorrow. So that's fun. Then the day after that, our friends at Audio Thing have just dropped Valve's Tube Overdrive, and this thing is awesome. I like it. Do you like it? That's for you to work out. So we'll be doing this the day after. It is a vintage Valve emulation plugin. Audio Thing make incredible stuff like this. The day after, I don't have the show set because it's a secret. It's a secret. Yes, indeed, it is a secret. It is something that is in beta and will be announced very soon. But at the end of the week, I can tell you we have this man coming on the show. Robert Stingle will be here with his gong. He'll be gonging you all out of existence. The man, the myth, the legend of the Robbie Stingle will be here on the show this Thursday for US and UK people. Hello, Pendar, and goodbye, because this is the end of the show. And DOA, hello to you and goodbye to you, because this is the end. I'm going to go out and play today's featured artist, which is Vero. And she did a collab with a Rick Romanelli. Yes, another really super talented artist, Rick Romanelli. So Vero has teamed up with him. They drop this song this week. And then after this show, I will be dumping you over to Pete Johns, who has Your Music Live, where he plays your music for the next 2 hours. All right, as usual, do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better, and we'll all rise together. And you know what? Apps aren't Pokemon. You don't need to collect them all. Unless you want to. Boom.
There was a time when we were friends. Our spirits our dreams some pretty daft. But time went on, we slowly grew apart. Our paths diverged, and it just hurts my heart. We found each other, but that's all gone and past. Still memories bind, and they are here to last. I wonder if you think of me as much as I think of you. Our friendship was one